And I like the idea of building the strength up on those longer tail words. That's going to feed through to your ego keyword.
Absolutely.
You've got all your on-page optimization and linking structure set up correctly. So all that's feeding in, and when someone does see, oh, he's taken my ego keyword, when they actually go to try and reverse engineer what it is that you've done, it makes it a lot harder, and you've actually got a lot stronger structure there, sort of holding up that ego keyword.
Yep, especially if people have just a lot to their main page, it's very easy to look at it instantly and go, yeah, okay, I know exactly what he's doing. But if someone has a tool that's maybe not as smart as some other tools, and it doesn't pick up links to deep pages as well, or they're having to analyze it. They're trying to analyze that. They're looking around and they're seeing, keywords coming in for other phrases, but not for the main phrase, and it can throw them off. And you really brought home something there that I would just reinforce, and that is by working on the lower tail, on the longer tail phrases, you're still always working towards whatever the highest subset of that keyword is, as long as you've got your flow correct in your website and your site structure. So even though you're working on the smaller phrases, it all helps with the main phrase. So to give an example of this, if you're coming into a competitive industry and it's a large phrase or your ego keyword, it doesn't matter what you do, you won't be able to get to that first page for that keyword for a certain amount of time, depending on whether or not Google decides it's raining or sunny today, correct?
Yep.
So whilst everyone starts with that main phrase and they keep going, and you can get there pretty quickly for it, but it still does take playtime to get out of the old sandpit. But if instead you're bolstering all of your supporting phrases in that time period, when you actually go to start working on that main phrase, it's a lot more of an ROI positive use of work. And the reason I bring it back to ROI positive is because you could waste a lot of inventory, you could waste a lot of resources trying to get that main phrase work and not necessarily moving ahead any quicker than if you were to start and get all of your long tail phrases ranked. And then when it comes time to rank for your ego keyword, you already have such a good structure there and such a good founding that any work put into that is actually a much more ROI positive form of work, because you actually already have traffic, you have rankings for all your other phrases, you have keyword diversity, and you have site authority, that it just comes up much quicker than it normally would.
Yeah, and I think as well, like if you go for those longer tail keywords, depending on whatever it is you're trying to push, you're going to be making sales, and that's going to help further pay for those SEO, the SEO work and the resources required to go for that ego keyword. If you go just straight for that primary keyword, it might be incredibly hard to get. So I agree, it's better to go for those long tail first.
Yep, absolutely. So, that's the off-page plan that we follow as far as how we direct all of our work. And, it's very effective, it works, and it's a good use of resources, not wasting anything.
Those links that you're sending back to the different pages as well, like the anchor text that you're using for that, obviously you're using the keyword that you're trying to rank for. Do you put any sort of variation in there as well? I
do, yeah. I almost always, and it depends how many I've got going into the individual page. If I have a lot, I use more variation, but I always tend to go for around about the top 5 that would be relative to that individual page.
Yeah, very cool. And then where are we sending these links from when you're actually doing that?
Yeah, so, this just comes down to whatever you have to go through a process always, depending on where you're getting your links from. And I know we do a lot of tracking, a lot of testing to find out what is the most efficient spend of resources based on output provided. Because it's, you can go and get a link built that will cost you time-wise, and therefore time is money, more to actually get done, rather than a link that could be quicker to get done based on time. And the overall effect of that means you can get more out, and you can have a slightly increased, or you can have a larger increased overall benefit, rather than getting ones that maybe cost more time to get. So basically, to put that in really simple terms, high quality links versus low quality links. Yeah. And it's probably one of the larger things that people are worried about is, should I be building really, really high quality links to my site, or really, really low quality links?
So what's the answer?
The answer? How much do you want to get out of me?
Yeah. All your good stuff, all your best stuff.
Look, so I just put my good hat on, and that says that you need to be always building towards future sustainability of your website.
That almost sounds like textbook definition there.
Yeah. But since we're all here and we're here to get good tactics, look, you need to be building to start with, you need to be building more than one type of link to your website. That means if you're only doing article submissions, stop. Start finding something else you can do as well. Because the larger the profile of links that you're building to your website, the less change can happen to your website if Google decides to devalue a type of link.
Yeah.
So that's like 101 for me, is if you're building with one type, then you need to be building with multiple types. And 102 says to me, go with what works for the least required investment of time. And to me, that is anything to do with article submissions is a very good use of time still. Specific, niche-specific directories and even non-niche-specific directories, as long as they're one-way links, and I'll make that as a clarification, is still a very good use of time. And, you know, there's a lot of social bookmarking and whatnot I use only as an indexing tool, not as a ranking tool. WordPress comments are still very effective, although I tend to do it with proper writers that write the comments for it, so I get more acceptance there. And that would be the easiest use of time and resources that would give the largest benefit or the largest payoff. Now, other things that obviously come in very good, they require a bit more time to do. You know, there's a traditional link hunting, which means, you know, you need to go out and look for people within the top 30 results for vertical industries or industries that are related to yours but not in competition with yours. And you know, that can be an extremely effective way to get links, and basically you can offer them a high quality piece of content or some sort of mutual benefit to both. You know, usually it's a high quality piece of the content because then they get content on their site and you get a link back to your website. But other ways that are a little bit more creative is to create tools in your industry or to create super high quality content that has a high spreadability factor, so people will want to spread that content around. To create tools that can go viral, as far as like, you know, blog badges and things like that. Now that to me, I usually don't talk too much about that because it does require quite a substantial amount of effort and a certain type of site to actually do that on. You know, you don't want to do it on just a basic niche website. You know, for that sort of thing, then you're going to be doing some of what I deem the lower quality methods. And the only reason I define them as lower quality is because they're cheap and quick.
Mm.
So, you know, if anything takes longer to do, then well, in most cases it's high quality, but I've seen some people put out work that is more expensive and takes longer to do, and it's certainly not high quality.